Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a huge shift happening in artificial intelligence. We're talking about the move from AI that just talks to AI that can actually act. And we're basing this on a really fascinating 2025 survey from Gibbon Jung and a team of over 30 researchers who are mapping out this exact idea, the rise of what they call agentic intelligence. Okay, so think about it. We've all gotten used to chatbots, right? They can write an email for you, answer a trivia question, but at their core, they're kind of like puppets. They're totally passive. They just sit there and wait for us to pull the strings with a prompt, they give a response, and that's it. So the really big question now is, what happens when we cut those strings and let AI act all on its own? So let's explore that leap right now. How AI is evolving from being just a simple talker into a genuine actor on the world stage. Right now, most of the language models you and I interact with are built for one job and one job only, to give you a single, really good response to a single prompt. Their entire world, you could say, begins and ends with that one little interaction. The researchers in this survey have a name for them: static conditional generators. A bit of a mouthful, I know. So, to make that big leap from talker to actor, we need a whole new approach. It's called Agentic Reinforcement Learning, or just Agentic RL for short. The best way to think about it is as a new kind of training that turns AI from a passive book into an active player in the world. First, let's just be clear on the old way of doing things. In traditional training, the AI model's entire universe is just a single prompt. Its only job is to generate one perfect answer. And after that, the interaction's over. It's a single-shot problem, completely disconnected from any future or bigger goal. But with Agentic RL, well, everything changes. The AI is no longer just answering a single question. It's like it's on a mission. It takes an action, it sees what happens, and then it uses that feedback to decide what to do next, and then the step after that, all in service of some long-term goal. It's a continuous journey, not a single stop. And when you actually break it down like this, the difference is just huge. I mean, instead of a single step, the AI now has to think long-term. Instead of just writing text, it can actually use tools, things like a search engine or a calculator. And instead of getting one grade at the very end, it gets feedback every single step of the way, which is how it learns to aim for long-term success. So, what can an AI agent actually do with this new kind of training? Well, it turns out it gets a whole new toolkit of abilities. You could even call them superpowers. Now, the survey goes into a bunch of new abilities, but let's just focus on 3 of the most mind-blowing ones: strategic planning, adaptive tool use, and this one's incredible, the power of self-improvement. Okay, first up is planning. Instead of just reacting to whatever you throw at it, the agent can now form a real, coherent strategy. It learns from trial and error which sequence of actions is the most effective for solving a problem. It's basically creating and then executing its own multi-step plans. Next up is tool use, and this is an absolute game changer. See, the AI is no longer limited to just the knowledge it was trained on. It learns to recognize when its own internal knowledge isn't enough, and then it decides which external tool, a search engine, a calculator, a code compiler, is the right one for the job, and figures out how to use it. And finally, self-improvement. This is where things get really interesting. The agent can actually look back on its own actions, identify its own mistakes, and then use that self-generated feedback to fine-tune its strategy for the next try. It creates this powerful, self-sustaining loop where it gets better and better at a task just by learning from its own experience. So this all sounds pretty impressive in theory, but what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's get a little more concrete with a couple of examples. First, I want you to picture a research assistant, and I don't mean one that just does a simple keyword search. I mean an autonomous agent that can navigate the web, synthesize insights from dozens of different sources, and draft a fully cited, comprehensive report, all on its own. A user could give it a complex, high-level task, just like this one. The agent would then use its planning and tool-using abilities to break that huge task down. It would go search for the original scientific papers, cross-reference facts, build out a timeline, and then write the final report. It's executing the entire project from start to finish. Okay, next, let's think about software engineering. This goes way, way beyond just completing a single line of code. An agentic AI can take on really complex, multi-step software tasks, even inside a real messy code base. So this kind of agent can actually interact with a development environment. It would use tools like a debugger to read the error logs, a file editor to write a patch, and a compiler to run tests. And it would keep iterating, refining, and testing its own code until a problem is finally solved. So you see, this shift from a passive model to an active agent isn't just a small step. It is a giant leap towards truly autonomous systems. It's fundamentally changing what AI can even do. The potential here is just massive. Imagine agents helping to accelerate scientific discovery or maybe even helping us tackle climate change. But as they become more powerful and more autonomous, they also raise some new and really critical challenges that we absolutely have to face. And that brings us to the final and, maybe the most important question of all. The survey itself points to trustworthiness as a major open challenge. As we give these agents more and more freedom to act, how do we make sure their actions are safe, reliable, and actually aligned with our values? That's not just a technical problem. It is the defining challenge of AI's next chapter.